March 23, 1991 marked the first official day the Revolutionary United Front, also known as the RUF, declared war upon Sierra Leone, sparking what is known today as the Sierra Leone Civil War. Over 11 years this war would last and would claim over 50,000 lives. The war was caused by the rebel group to overthrow Joseph Momo, the president of Sierra Leone at the time. During the war, both the Sierra Leone military and the RUF would use children as soldiers to fight alongside each other and battle-hardened men. Ishmael Beah, author of award-winning memoir A Long Way Gone, born November 23, 1980, was 10 years old when the war started. During his time spent at the community center of his village, he would see information about the war on the news. He wrote about how he remembers the anxiety and paranoia of the village adults as the days passed and attacks kept getting nearer and nearer. Rap music is something Ishmael was fond of, and he'd perform at his school's talent shows or other locations holding shows in his village. When Ishmael was 12 years old, he, along with his brother and friends, were on their way to perform at their school when their village was attacked. This would be the last time he'd see his parents for good. Having walked village to village all over Sierra Leone, starving, stealing from smaller kids for food, being caught by the rebels and barely escaping, witnessing the death of some of his friends, being separated from other friends, and his brother before discovering he was burned by the RUF alongside his family, Ishmael was able to travel far enough with some of his other friends to make it to a military-occupied village. However, at this point the RUF was right behind him, and Ishmael and the village had to fight to survive. The commanding officer posted at the village Ishmael was at had every male 5 years or older join the military under Sierra Leone. The commanding officer Jabati held the competition that night for all the new recruits, children as young as 5 years old, and even Ishmael Beah himself. The competition was to see who could cut the throats of the captured rebels the best, and this was how Jabati trained his soldiers in the art of hand-to-hand combat knife executions. This is also when Ishmael made his first kill at the age of 13. Ishmael felt the effects of killing and losing his family so short from each other. After going on missions with Jabati and killing kids and adults, he had developed panic attacks, sleep disorders, anxiety, depression, and trauma, among other things. Meanwhile, the army was telling him that the only way to avenge his family was to keep killing rebels. This was a method of brainwashing, and alongside verbal brainwashing, the army had supplied Ishmael with cocaine, marijuana, and brown, which is cocaine mixed with gunpowder, to keep his emotions in line, making him a more reliable killing machine. Brainwashing made Ishmael a loyal soldier, and he felt Jabati was a father figure to him more than a military officer. Ishmael remained a soldier for 3 years until he was nearly 16 when Jabati handed his squad over to UNICEF.
The United Nations Children's Fund, aka UNICEF, is the United Nations agency responsible for providing humanitarian and developmental help and aid to children all around the entire world. UNICEF was established in 1946 as the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. It was established by the UN to provide hunger relief, safety, and healthcare to children and mothers in need in countries demolished by World War II. In 1950, UNICEF's mandate was extend to address the needs of children and women in developing countries on more of a long-term basis. In 1953, UNICEF became a permanent part of the United Nations system. UNICEF is a non-profit organization. They rely entirely on contributions from governments, private donors, and patrons. UNICEF's total income up to the year 2018 was $5.2 billion. Two-thirds of that money came entirely from the government. Private groups and civilians contributed the final third through national committees. UNICEF is governed by an executive board of 36 people that establish policies, approve programs, and manage overseas financial planning, and much more. The board is a group of government representatives elected by the United Nations Economic and Social Council. Their terms last for around 3 years. Now that the basic facts about UNICEF have been laid out, here is how UNICEF helped and rehabilitated Ishmael Beah. UNICEF took Ishmael Beah in and put him through their rehabilitation program. This involved keeping him away from the drugs that were forced on him as a child soldier, educating him, and reincorporating him back into society to live with his uncle. Ishmael, as well as all the other child soldiers from Sierra Leone, were released from UNICEF and back into society whenever they were deemed ready. Today, Ishmael Beah is a UNICEF advocate for children affected by war. He travels the world extensively to advocate for the rights of children. Beah now lives in Los Angeles with his wife and 3 kids. Ishmael Beah is the poster board example for the fact that change can occur in anyone. Look at how he started, a child soldier who was addicted to drugs and did horrible things all at the hands of his commander, to a human rights activist, a family man, and a published author. However, this wouldn't have been possible without UNICEF. They saved his life, and to this date have helped millions of other children all around the world.
Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you.